It's that time, y'all. Time for Big Boys Boxing.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
Kia ora team, and welcome back to Big Boys Boxing. So today, I have an article I will leave in the description. You read it, come to your own conclusions as usual, but it is giving comment from Andy Ruiz Sr., Andy Ruiz Jr.'s dad, who is also a manager of Andy Ruiz Jr. He's been speaking to Eddie Reynoso about potentially coaching his son, Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, for those of you who don't know, Eddie Reynoso is the coach of Saul Canelo Alvarez. He also coaches Ryan Garcia. He's a great Mexican coach. Now, for me, this news is neither here nor there. But, you know, with this COVID-19 lockdown situation and no boxing happening, there ain't really much to talk about. So I'll give my 2 cents on Andy Ruiz taking on Eddie Reynoso as a coach. For me, it's neither here nor there news. Why, you ask? Well, for starters, I was pretty disappointed that Andy Ruiz dropped Manny Robles as his coach when Manny Robles had done nothing wrong. Manny Robles had coached Andy for the majority of his career, got him to a title shot, got him through a winning fight, taking the 3 belts off Anthony Joshua. Then Ruiz came into the ring 30 pounds heavier than his normal weight, which is still way overweight, and expected to be able to beat Anthony Joshua, who he knew was going to try and box him around, yet he still came in fat like the butterbean. And why he came in fat like the butterbean was no fault of Manny Robles. Andy Ruiz himself said that he was more interested in spending time with his friends. His dad said that he wasn't turning up to training. The motivation just wasn't there. Money sometimes does this, and let's be frank, Andy Ruiz rolled into a shitload of money after beating Anthony Joshua with a guaranteed payday in a rematch. He didn't have to worry about money anymore. Up until then, you know, he'd been fighting to put food on the table for his kids, his family. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore, so where's the motivation gone? Now, more than ever, people are calling Andy Ruiz a fat slob. Before he obtained the 3 belts that he had from Anthony Joshua, people were not so much concentrating on how fat he was, but all the attention's on how fat he was now, because he admitted he was being a lazy fat fuck. What's going to change? Where's the motivation going to come from? He doesn't need money anymore. He already proved what deltas he did have, that he could become a world champion. He became the first Mexican heavyweight world champion, and extremely disappointed everybody in the rematch. He let himself down. It was not his coach. So getting a new coach, what good is that going to do? This dude has been boxing since he was 6 years old. He already knows how to fight. He's been in camp with a few different coaches here and there. A coach is good for constructing a game plan for the fighter to follow. The coach is there to give good instruction in training and in the corner. But if you don't turn up to training, it don't matter how good your coach is. It don't matter how many champions your coach is coaching. None of that matters if you can't get your fat ass out of bed and get to training. So that's why, to me, this is neither here nor near news. Alright? There was talk of possibly Andy Ruiz trying to take Teddy Atlas as a coach, and I think that probably would have been the best situation for Andy, because Teddy Atlas don't take no shit. If you don't turn up to training, you're fired. Get out of my fucking gym, you're wasting my time. I don't know how hard Eddie Reynoso is on this sort of thing. I know Manny Robles wasn't like that. He's a nice guy and he expects the fighter to have their own motivation. Maybe there was a bit of downfall with Manny Robles being able to motivate Andy Ruiz. But I say it again, it's hard to motivate somebody if they don't want to be motivated. If Andy Ruiz had taken on somebody like Teddy Atlas, there was always the threat, if I don't turn up to training, I'm going to lose my coach. That's incentive enough to fucking turn up. So hopefully Eddie Reynoso is going to take a hard line with Andy Ruiz. And maybe we'll see him around 250. That's still pretty fat for a 6 foot tall guy. I mean, it says in BoxRec he's 6'2". That's not correct. At best he'd be 6'1". And somebody weighing 250 pounds as an athlete at 6'1" is still too heavy. I mean, Andy Ruiz is a heavy-set guy. I would like to see him down around 230. That'd be brilliant. Imagine how fast he could be. Imagine he might grow some legs instead of big lumps of concrete. But at this point in time, I have no faith in Andy Ruiz turning up to training every day. I really hope he does, because I want to see him in some great fights. And now, talking about Chris Arreola is going to be his next fight, possibly in September. That's not a bad fight for a comeback fight for me. In fact, prior to Andy Ruiz getting his shot, I was thinking maybe he should fight a Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola's very durable, high volume. I mean, he's not the fastest guy in the world, and he's well past his best, but it's not a bad fight. And shit, can you imagine the Mexican audience that'd be into this fight? It'd be massive in Mexico. So get that done. Move on to something better, like a Luis Ortiz, to get back into the mix. I do believe Andy Ruiz will pretty much beat Chris Arreola down. He's either going to stop him in the later rounds, or it's going to be a 12-round decision, in my opinion. But moving on to somebody like Luis Ortiz, it's in-house PBC. Why not? Or Adam Kovnarski. I couldn't care which guy it is. They've both got a loss. Luis Ortiz has 2 to the same guy, but beat one of those guys and you're straight back in the mix, and then maybe that'll be enough motivation to try and make another run at a title before you finish your career, Andy. But I do wish you all the best. I hope things work out with Eddie Reynoso. I hope we see a 235-pound Andy Ruiz in the ring in September against Chris Arreola, and if that's the case, I think Andy Ruiz will get him out of there within 7, and that's saying a lot, because Chris Arreola is durable as a motherfucker. So let us know what you think of Andy Ruiz taking on Eddie Reynoso as a coach, and how effective do you think it's going to be? I look forward to your comments and getting some conversation going. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you next time. I'm Jono from Big Boys Boxing, and I'm out. So